Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Type1EU live stream. Today we are hosting DASTRI, and we will be talking about a very important topic, which is diabetes technology waste. But before I invite our guests, I would like to show you a video that explains what is DASTRI and what are they doing.
Unique in Europe, DASTRI is run by drug and device companies to organize the end of life of sharps used by home care patients. DASTRI is a not-for-profit producer responsibility organization approved by the French authorities under the principle of extended producer responsibility. The solution offered, in partnership with all stakeholders, is secured, simple, and totally free for the patients. Goodwill, transparency, and high standards are among our shared values. Pharmacies order sharp containers from the DASTRI website, which they receive in 5 working days. It's simple and completely free. All pharmacies can offer, free of charge, the so-called DASTRI box to their concerned patients, free of charge. After filling the DASTRI box at their home, the patients must return it to the closest collection point. For everybody's safety, it's very important that the sharp itself once used, or the DASTRI box once filled, is not thrown away in household waste. To find the nearest collection point to your home in France, log in to dastri.fr. The DASTRI boxes are collected by authorized waste management companies, selected by DASTRI, and sent to specific waste treatment centers. Pharmacists have distributed over 14 million DASTRI boxes to patients since 2013. Operators collected 83% of sharps waste in 2018. Patients report that DASTRI has changed their life. Thanks to all DASTRI holders. Let's take up the challenge for tomorrow. Let's raise awareness among self-test users who should also use the DASTRI box. Let's collect 80% of DASTRI products from patients both in mainland and French overseas territories. Let's build together tomorrow's healthcare EPR schemes, taking into account innovation and patient expectations. Find out more on dastri.fr.
I have a pleasure to introduce Laurence Bouret, CEO of a non-profit PRO, which is Producer Responsibility Organization. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hello, Veronica. Hello, everybody.
So please explain the audience what is DASTRI and what is it responsible for?
Well, as you've seen in the little video, DASTRI is a company coalition. Actually, 63 companies have created this not-for-profit in order to comply with French regulation, which plan to propose a service, a free service. It's free of charge for the patients. And this is to propose a sharp container. So you've seen it in the little video, but maybe I'm not online for the sharp container. I don't know if you can see it. It looks like this.
Yes, I'm just up.
There you go. So all the pharmacies propose the sharp container to the patients. The patient fill the sharp container, and then they bring it back to the pharmacy, and we organize the collection. So it's completely free of charge because it's financed by the companies. The 63 member companies finance the whole process, and it's being created in 2012. So it's been 8 years that we have organized this program. It works well. The point is to avoid accidents because, and it was the main reason why the members of parliament decided to create this regulation. It's to avoid accidents because before the sharps were thrown by the patients in the household waste, and the people that collect the household waste used to have accidents with the sharps, and most of the patients, at least in France, using this kind of device are suffering from diabetes. So it's not an infectious disease, but when somebody gets hurt with the sharp, he doesn't know if the patient the person who used the sharp had diabetes or had HIV or whatever else. So we used to treat for the worst, HIV, hepatitis, because we didn't know, we don't know if the sharp had an infectious risk or not. So this is why this program was created, in order to separate the sharps from the household waste and to avoid accidents. So this is the main reason why we've been created in 2012. So you have a couple of figures here regarding the way it works. So all the pharmacies in France are involved. So they distribute the sharp container and they collect it when it's full. So it's 21,000 in the mainland and overseas territories. It's 1.3 billion devices that are sold every year, and we're supposed to collect all of them. Today we collect 85% of them, and we need the patients to use the sharp container and bring back the sharp container when it's full, and the pharmacists to distribute the sharp container and collect it. It's about 15,000 contacts with pharmacists and patients every year on our platform. We have a toll-free number, and we can also contact us by mail. It's 60,000 collection operations per year, and it's about 3 million sharp containers that we distribute every year. So this is the way we work. We have an agreement from the French state. They set an objective of 80%. We are over this objective since we are collecting 85, and we are controlled by the state that checks that we use the money to do the job that we are supposed to do, and also to check that we meet the objectives that are decided by the state. So that's, in a couple of words, who we are and what we do.
So how much diabetes waste there is in Europe? Is there any data on this?
Maybe, but I don't know. Actually, what I can tell you is that we this 1.3 billion devices, it's about 1,000 tons of waste. When you count the sharp container, because we treat the sharp container with the waste, it's about the double. So it's 2,000 tons of waste for France, and only for home care patients. And then for France, it's about 200,000 healthcare medical waste with infectious risk. So it's not only diabetes, it's other, because it comes from hospitals, physicians. So in Europe, I would multiply this by 20 something to have maybe something that is correct or close to the reality. You have, of course, you know that the percentage of people in the population who suffer from diabetes is not the same in all the countries. For example, in France, it's 4 to 5% of the population mainland, and it's 7 to 8 in our overseas territories. So it might be more according to the country than the figures that I gave you. But that gives you an idea.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a lot. So what categories of waste the diabetes technology waste is divided into? Because it's definitely more than one type of waste, right?
Right. Actually, we have about 12 categories of devices. So you have much more. We have like something like 400 to 500 different devices, but we organize them in categories. So we have about 12. So it goes from the pen, insulin pen, for example. It goes through the lancet. And more recently, you have also devices with electronics and batteries to monitor the sugar or to inject the insulin. So these kind of devices are a bit trickier to take care of, and we are still working on the process of recycling them, because those are going to be the first ones that we're going to be able to recycle. Maybe you have another picture with the 12 categories of
Yes.
devices that we can show in order to help you identify, the lancets, the pens. You have auto tests. It's kind of a lancet, but it's for HIV, but it's secured. It's self-engineered. It's a mechanism that make the device more secure. And needles, of course, syringes. I mean, all these sharps, everything that is with a sharp comes in the program.
Yes. So you already mentioned that this is important to put sharps in the right containers, because this is how the person who is collecting the waste stay safe. But what if the sharp containers are hard to access, or someone cannot afford them? What this person with diabetes can do then?
Yeah, as I explained, the main objective is to avoid accidents, because we don't know who used the sharps and if there is an infectious risk. So it's a lot of stress for the people that are hurt by the sharp, because they're wondering if they're going to be sick or not. And in France, we treat them for the worst, as I said, in order to avoid that they would be contaminated if it was a sharp with an infectious risk. So most of the time it's for nothing, because it was a person with diabetes and there's no risk. But because we don't know and we cannot play with the life of the people that are collecting or sorting out the waste, they receive a treatment, and it lasts for like 6 months. And then it's not only the person, but it's also the family who is in stress, because they don't know and they're waiting for the results. So if there's no sharp container, because it's difficult to access in some countries, it's hard to get. And in our overseas territories, we have people living, for example, in Guyana, that are far away from the main cities. Or if it is too expensive for the person, because it's a cost, of course. In France, it's totally free because the companies paid for it, but it's not the case in all the countries. My advice is to use a plastic packaging that is thick enough not to have the problem that we used to have in France, because when you use a plastic bottle, I have one that is scratched, but it's too, because of eco design, it's thinner and thinner, and then the needle goes through. And then the people that collect the bottle, they get hurt. So if you don't have a sharp container that is made for it and which is completely secure, like the one that we give, use some packaging that is thick enough in plastic so that the needle does not go through, because otherwise you could hurt somebody. So this is important to think about the kind of packaging that you could have home for free, to reuse packaging, but that is secure enough, so enough plastic, thick enough not to have this kind of problem.
Mm-hmm. And I also have an additional question about this topic. If should the person write on this container bottle that this is medical waste with a marker, for example?
For sure, depending on who is going to handle this packaging. If it is like a healthcare professional, then just saying that what it is no problem, because you can return it maybe to, I don't know, a hospital, or to a pharmacy that is okay to collect it. So they know, because they are professional, healthcare professional, and you're going to tell them. But of course, if you intend to leave this packaging in another waste stream, like household or stuff like that, then it's important to have the person identify what kind of waste it is, so that they can handle it the proper way.
Yeah, and is this program available outside of France, in other European countries? Because it sounds, for me, it sounds great that I think many people with diabetes would love to participate in this program.
Actually, this is a French law. So you have some programs like us for other products that depend on a European legislation. But for the sharps, it's a French regulation, so it's available only in France, within Europe. But it is going to start this year in California, in the United States, because of the Californian regulation. And it started a couple of years ago in 2 provinces of Canada. Same kind of program, same kind of regulation. So only France in Europe today, but Canada for some provinces, and California for the United States very recently.
So we should make this happen somehow. What we can do, and my next question is well connected to this. Like, what we can do, people with diabetes. How can we help make diabetes technology green and make a change?
Well, I think that this is an issue for the patients and for the physicians. We have a survey that we conduct every year in France, and more than 80% of the pharmacists that we question and of the patients say that environment is more and more an issue for them, and that they want, of course, to cure them, or at least to be treated for the pathology that they have the best possible way. But at the same time, they would like to have less impact on the environment. So I think that the first maybe thing that you might want to do is to discuss with the companies that provide the devices. And I know that my member companies are keen on exchanging with the patients about what is better for them to make the device work better. And I think that our member companies are also keen on thinking about how to do their best as regards health, but more and more as regards environment. For example, I know that this device is the G6 from Dexcom, is going to lose 30% of its weight and volume for the next generation. So this is an example of a company having understood or heard the patients and the physicians saying that it was too much material and too much impact on the environment. So they worked on it, and the next generation is less material and smaller. So I think that the first thing is participate in a working group or in direct exchange with the companies, because I know that they are expecting these exchanges with the patients to have better devices for the patients.
Yeah, and I mean, it's good for environment, and also for us, because we don't have to carry so much with us when we travel. Soon we all will be able to travel more. So I think this is a good direction, and this is definitely where we should all be heading, and all the diabetes companies. We have some comments, and I will show them. I'm really happy to hear that this is really important work. Thank you, Tobias. And Dimitri says that it's an interesting and informative session. And Hannah, yeah, it's also saying that this is important. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, and Nina, yeah, this is where we should be heading. EU should recognize the work of DASTRI, and there should be such initiative in other European countries, in EU member states. So we would like to invite you to visit DASTRI's website to learn more. It's in French, right?
Yeah, to date it's in French. We're gonna work to have it in English, at least for part of it, and it's gonna be done soon. At least, by latest by the end of the year. So don't go too fast if you don't speak French, but it's gonna be soon in English.
Great, and also, because this interview is a part of our Reduce Diabetes Technology Waste campaign, and I would like to invite everyone to join this movement. As we were talking, our voice as patients is very important, and we need to highlight this issue, this problem, and talk with diabetes companies, raise awareness that we want to make a change and just help the environment. So I think this is very important to show what we think, what we believe in. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I think it was a very informative session, as said Dimitri said, because I believe that many people with diabetes don't think about this. I also want to share that I asked people on Instagram, on Type1EU, and on my blogs, channels, about if they are using the Sharps container, and the majority said that unfortunately they are not using the Sharps container. So I hope that this session will help people to understand why is this important, and that we are also saving trouble for someone out there who is taking care of our Sharps. So,
thanks a lot, Veronica, for your invitation. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, and have a nice evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are. Thank you so much, and goodbye.